I'm out on my Sunday afternoon drive in a Genesis GV60 electrified. Genesis really is proving to be one of my favourite brands, partially because of these really cool lights, but mostly because I can do the entire review and leave the car turned on so that the air conditioning keeps it cool, because it's a fairly warm day today, apart from being extremely windy. It's got these amazing wheels, pop-out door handles that come out when you go to unlock the car as you approach, and these fantastic digital mirrors. This little thing is actually a camera with a little indicator in it for a side repeater. But it is this delicious profile that has given the entire Genesis brand kind of a renewal. It's one of those brands that goes under people's radar. And despite that, they've managed to create a car that looks sexy and is modern. And when you look at the other things built on the same platform, rather stylish. I want to take a few minutes to talk about this little accessory. It allows you to put a 3-pin connector, so any household device, into it and run it off your car. And all you have to do is to plug it in like so, press the button and lock the doors, and you notice the door handles go in. When you want to finish, all you have to do is unlock it, make sure it's turned off and pull it out. This normally lives under the back floor of the car. Even though the car is locked, as I approach it and stand here long enough, it will unlock. And I can put this thing back in its house. There's not a whole lot of room in the back, and most EVs have the same problem. There's not a whole lot of room because there's a rear motor under the floor, and it lives where the spare wheel well normally would. And remember, this seat has slid back. There's still a bunch of room in the back. I'd want to raise the seat up a little bit to get my feet under the floor. There's a couple of USBs back here, USB-Cs, but you'll see this console is almost hollow. You could put a bag under that. The front seat has some buttons to put it forward so you can operate that from the back. There's a couple of vents back here. And of course the sound is Bang & Olufsen, but not the same Bang & Olufsen that you have in your lounge room. This auto division was sold off some time ago when they're a little bit short of money. There's a nifty cup holder, buttons for windows, seat heating and so forth, and a really cool door opener. And I don't know if you can pick it up in this light, but those lines there are kind of iridescent and they fluoresce, and you can notice them particularly on the front seats at night. Have a look at this absolutely delicious diamond pattern leather. Like all Genesis, there are thoughtful touches like window shades and a place to hang Sir's coat. There's so much room in the back it feels like a ballroom. And speaking of balls, have a look at this. This ball shines up at night. Beautiful blue, and flips over when you turn the ignition on. It's mad. You can open the interior screen, but not the glass. Note the front, there's a couple of zones of air conditioning and some one-touch buttons, some more one-touch buttons back here on the console. The front seats have seat heating and cooling. There are the widescreen Hyundai Group LCDs, over 12 inches in each. And another couple here. Have a look at that digital side mirror that's outside. There's a screen here. Now, I'm not going to lie, it took me ages to get used to it. You can see the view of the building behind us on this one. The doors have sculptural elements, and even the mirror controls, which are of course electronic, are inside this neat little control on the door on this side, and on that side, a tweeter. I mean, really? One of the big features you'll want is the boost button. Apart from the normal old drive modes that this thing's got, it's got a boost button on the steering wheel, which gives you 10 seconds of boost, and you use it to enter freeways as I'm about to do now, because this is always a terrible place to enter. All right, down, and 0 to 100 comes in 4 seconds. It's just counted down to 0. It's released its grip on my love handles, and it's now back in comfort mode. It's all-wheel drive, so it's dual motor, 180 kilowatts at the back and 180 kilowatts at the front. That is with the boost mode switched on. 360 kilowatts all up. It's an insane amount of power to put through something that is so comfortable and cozy. We've had some VIPs in the car this week. Gay Pride was on, as you saw with the Audi review last week. And I had some very esteemed guests. The World Pride CEO, Kate Wickett, was in the back seat, along with her good mate, ex-Chief Justice of the High Court, Michael Kirby. The 85-year-old retired judge thought this was rather smart and elegant, and I can't disagree with him. You can hear on the road now that it is incredibly quiet, and that's because there's very little tyre noise, almost no wind noise. The loudest noise I can hear is the fan, although that truck I can hear just in the distance. I've got smart cruise control, smart lane control, all the usual things that you expect in a Hyundai Group car. Genesis is part of Hyundai along with Kia. You'd expect the battery to be drunk like a drag queen, and to be honest with you, it's not bad. You still get well over 400 kilometres, closer to 450 kilometres or thereabouts. I'm at 73% now, and I've had a couple of charges this week just to make sure. The last thing you want to do is go flat while you're driving VIPs around. There was some debate as to whether or not the interior was a 110 plus thousand interior. I happen to think it is. It's a modern take on luxury. 4 seconds to 100 is going to challenge sports cars like Porsche. No one's pretending the handling is Porsche-like. I mean, it just isn't. But most of us aren't going to care. And the all-wheel drive system is incredibly clever. When you don't need all-wheel drive, it'll change just to 2 wheels to preserve battery power. This comes in 2 models. The Performance all-wheel drive, which is the top of the range version that this one is, and the normal all-wheel drive model. The normal all-wheel drive model is still plenty pokey. But look, you're going to keep this for a while. Why not go the whole hog? To get that sort of performance out of a car like the Porsche next to us, you're going to have to be paying a lot more than $110,000. You'll have much less space. It'll use much more fuel. And I'm not sure the drive will be that much better. It'll certainly be much less comfortable. You get a great warranty with this Genesis, 5 years, 8 years on the battery. You get a Genesis to You service. Genesis is pegging itself against the very poshest of cars, against the BMWs and Mercedes and Audis, Jaguar. They don't have fast charging, or they do have fast charging, but not as fast as this. The Hyundai Group has the fastest charging apart from Porsche. They're the only ones that can use those 350 kilowatt chargers that we just saw. I suppose you'll say, well, that hardly makes a difference because they are almost never working. And you're right, they're almost never working. This is one of the very unusual cars where this week, and it's been a lot of young people as well, really young people, admittedly quite drunk, but they've jumped out in front of me at lights to see what kind of car this was because of the dazzling display of the lights at the front and the unusual shape. The question you'd have to ask yourself is, given this is basically a slightly nicer looking Kia EV6 GT, is it worth the extra money? Hell yes, it's fantastic. And that's all this week from the Genesis GV60. As always, don't forget, hit like, leave a comment, and over there to subscribe.